Mission Control, we've got a new episode coming in hot. Ready to roll. Credits ready. One. Opening credits. Ready. Credits take one.
At the edge of the universe, 400 men and women are probing the immeasurable blackness of space. Their leaders are an Earthman with no fear and a stranger with no heart. Travel beyond our time and solar system, into new galaxies, into worlds beyond your dreams. Star Trek, every week, in color.
Oh, brother. No sounds, but we're slipping into the Jeffries tube, silent like, up into getting all up inside the ship. Oh, it's a party going on in the Jeffries tube. And let's add to the party. There's only one guy who can make this kind of party even more fun. His name's Captain Fun. It's Larry Young. Hey, Larry.
Dan Shaheen, how are you, sir?
What's happening, buddy?
I'm getting ready to talk about Star Trek. I have a cool thing. We were talking about the complicated relationship we all have with cash, and I have a really complicated relationship with the Star Trek red shirt. I'm proud to say I never, all of my various costumes, I never gotten a red shirt because I'm a big TOS fan, and that's red shirt's not cool. And it's not because they're dying, it's because besides Scotty, there's nobody in a red shirt that does anything cool. So I never felt it. And there's in the badge, I don't know, it's got a seashell. I like seashells, but it's, there's command structure and sciences, and then this is engineering and miscellaneous.
I love it.
I mean, it's literally called engineering and support services.
Yeah,
which is cool because the Carol Kane character in this latest Strange New Worlds is her actual, she was in charge of support services. So it's a whole section on Starbase, which was great. Okay. So they throw it in with engineering on a ship, but I thought that was a cool little tweak. Anyway, wearing the red shirt, I'm not really sure if
it looks sharp, Larry. I gotta say, I like it.
Well, thank you.
I think that's honestly, like, if I'm realistic with myself, where I would be on a ship if I was put on a ship, I'm in that miscellaneous category, doing something nobody really knows about. Like somebody is, fixing the replicator food programmers or whatever, making tweaks to the recipes. Somebody's doing that.
Honestly, I think all of us would be, because we're not trained in running spaceships, right? I'm not a science guy, but what's her name? Marla McGivers, or whatever her name is in Wrath of Khan. She's the ship's historian, which awesome, right? That's Price's job, ship's historian. But they have like a little, sort of soft sciences section of stuff. So if they need I'm probably the guy that does all the Mike Okuda designs. Like I have the tech manual, and I'm like, thanks, Mike and Rick Sternbach. Here, and I'm printing out the signs and making jokes on the doors and stuff.
Well, I think in the future, in the Star Trek future anyway, if they gotta have room for the soft skills, because what are the welders? There's no welders anymore or whatever. So we've talked about the fashion czar. Who?
Oh yeah, I'll be the uniform guy.
Yeah, who does that?
That's fine. Starfleet
quartermaster, maybe.
Well, that's the guy who gives out the stuff or gives you the program to make sure that everything's designed. But I'm sure there's a Starfleet, director of heraldry and insignia.
He's fussy. He's nitpicky. That guy.
He's a little, shit means something. Yeah, with his parents installed on him that.
All right.
Symbols mean things.
Speaking of fussy guys and nitpicking, let's talk about Star Trek.
Can we just give Chris and Dave and Christopher Bernassi?
That's see comments. Many.
Everybody's tight. First of all, Chris.
Yeah, Kyle. Totally. That's the first thing that came to mind to me was Mr. Kyle. Poor Mr. Kyle.
I hope you're talking about the cool ass old TOS Mr. Kyle from Australia.
Yeah, of course.
It's here. All right, that's cool. Right here.
I like the Mirror Universe one who took an agonizer for us. Yeah, come on.
I say that all the time to my kid. Mr. Kyle, your agonizer, please.
I'd be an engineer. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's cool.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, now wait a minute. So should we talk briefly? Because I'm sure you guys discussed I didn't watch. I'm sorry I wasn't around. I didn't watch the whole episode last week.
You dropped your phone in the lake, man. You had a reason.
So I'm sure you discussed the gripping legal thriller. And I know when I watched it, I'm like, Larry loved this. Larry loved this episode.
Oh, oh my God, I loved it.
The legal episode, the previous episode. I knew that you would love that one. I had issues more on the issues that I have of like every legal drama. It's so not like legal. It doesn't make legal sense the way they do things, but
no. Well, you get the idea. First of all, the legal episode or the court-martial episode, like almost every show did one. So that's a Star Trek trope.
It's a great, I mean, right back to the pilot, right? All right.
Well, sort of. I mean, the pilot wasn't a legal thing. They made
yeah.
So but yeah, so that's what I liked about it. It really harkened back to the old days, and their updates of the dress uniforms like call back to the visual cues to the old ones. So they were paying attention. But I'm not a lawyer, but I've watched a lot of law stuff on TV, and I have friends that are lawyers, and all of Mimi's family are lawyers. So this comes up, like not often, but enough that everybody that I talk to that has a quibble about it just goes, at the end of it goes, but it's television.
Yeah, right.
Like everybody knows that if it went the way it's supposed to go, it would be like the least dramatic thing ever.
What was interesting is unlike The Cage, there's no B story. There's no whole other pilot. There's no other pilot to chop up and make into an exciting B story. This was just like, this is a case that we're going to follow.
Yeah.
And the thing though, it's, if you think about it, it's kind of anticlimactic because wasn't it presented when she was arrested at the very end of season 1? Like it was a big shocker. This was a big shocking thing. And even she was surprised by it. So I don't understand if she turned herself in, the whole motivation for the whole, like, shouldn't it have just been I turned myself in?
I think that a combination of, there were 2 different writers. And the fact that, it's the end of one season and the beginning of the next. I think that, I think you're right for as an audience member. But
I didn't go back and check it yet. I want to go back.
I think they just are suffering from you just need a line, because she probably did turn herself in, but she probably also was shocked because she might not have thought that she was going to get immediately arrested, right? So there's lots of Marvel no prize things that kind of makes sense. You can figure it out. But the one thing I don't want to get too far away of, that episode had a B story. It's just all in your head if you're paying attention, because the B story is the reason they're doing this is for the next one, because genetic manipulation is illegal in Starfleet because of Khan.
Yeah, that was cool the way they wove that in and gave us filled in.
So if you watch every scene, you're like,
yeah.
Oh, they're not just going after her; they're trying to prove a bigger point that's not going to be the B story, but that's the undercurrent. Like, they get to say that they're episodic, but there's going to be a scene about that all the way through.
Okay, perfect tee up, because I don't have much more to say about that thing. That episode, other than like, okay, it was all right.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Like, of course, her childhood best friend grows up to be the exact person she needs to help her. When
civil rights, lawyer who we know we're going to see again in the
I don't know.
Sure. Landmark civil rights thing. She'll be back to defend Lon or somebody or whatever.
Well, I hope. She was a really good character.
What was interesting? Yeah, I like. It's cool to have space lawyers. It's cool that there's still lawyers in space.
That's the show I want. Star Trek JAG. Just give me that.
Well, so what they mentioned though, that intrigued me was that what is her race called? Illyrian? I forgot whatever the
I don't remember.
Una Chin is. Whatever
Illyrian. That's
Illyrian or something, or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever it is. She's not all of their augmentations can be hidden. And they just said that. What did they mean? Like, what are the other? They didn't show any other like.
Remember when they had the scene where she broke her leg as a girl? Do you remember that?
And
scene?
It glowed or whatever.
It glowed, yeah. So So when you're healing, you glow from within. You can't really hide that. It's not like you have a horn or tails. There's some for her, but
yeah.
I mean,
for her, yeah.
For her. I mean, there might be for some people that, like, you know, some kid came out and it's made out of solid water or something, you know.
He's got giant nostrils or something.
Right.
Something fun, you know?
Something fun. I'd take wings if you're doing something like that. That's going to be fun, but man, rough in the snow.
And they called him and they yelled at her. They called her augments. They called them augments. They called us augments.
But that's from
you got to call them augies.
That's from before, though. There's all that Noonien Singh stuff. So
okay, you're right. The backstory kind of was. It definitely was paving the way for this Noonien Singh story. I didn't even really think about that.
Yeah.
But it definitely did pave the way for this. And we could get now in this latest episode what we've all wanted forever, right? It's for Captain Kirk to have sex with Khan. That's what this whole thing, that's all it's for, is to satisfy someone's sick desire to see Ricardo Montalban and William Shatner,
I don't know,
have a on again, off again romantic fling.
That's not, but he's 10, so that's not gonna happen, right? It's like, oh, I'm sorry.
They figured out the way to do it, is what I'm saying.
It's like Alex Kurtzman's big dream, right? And they're like, yeah, you can get what you want. Khan and Kirk are gonna have sex, but it's pedophilia, so you can't. Sorry, Alex.
Okay, we'll talk. I have a list of notes, Larry. Should I?
Oh, it's fantastic, man. I'm so glad, because sometimes Star Trek is a rough incline for you. It's not a hill. Not a mountain, but every once in a while you're like, you know, can't it just be flat for a while and let me talk about AI?
Okay, let's talk about some things. Okay,
hit me.
So first of all, the time traveling guy shows up kind of out of nowhere, whatever, with the thingamajig, with the
that's the best thing ever.
With the Omni from Voyager. No, I like it.
I love, that's my favorite sci-fi trope.
That is the Omni, though, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, the red button.
It's
green, kid. We're fine.
It went green at the end. It's like, that is the Omni, and it. Okay, in my mind,
why is that bad?
No, that's not bad.
Oh, okay.
That's beautiful. I didn't say I have a list of badness. I have a list of notes. Okay.
I have a list of badness.
They get bad, though. They get bad. Okay, well, let's start with okay, so Starfleet uniforms, I guess they wanted them to fit in, but they did say it was because it was gonna be cold. And this is, I'm just asking the Starfleet haberdasher, do you think, don't you think that a normal Starfleet uniform is, by our current fabric standards, probably like a Wonder fabric? Like, it would probably keep you pretty warm,
100%,
and be well vented and feel very great on your nipples and all that stuff.
They did that in the original series in Enemy Within. Like, the reason they can't transport Sulu and the other guys off is because the transporter is broken or whatever, and they send a shuttlecraft for them, but they're going to freeze to death. The reason they lasted that long is because they just went, you know, there's something hidden in their rank cuff or in their badge or a little click that they go, you know, I got to get some heat in, because, you know.
Even that far.
They don't say it, but that's like, they say, oh my God, it's 30 below zero, and guys dressed like this aren't going to last long at 30 below zero if there isn't some kind of sci-fi thing.
Okay,
right?
Great.
So maybe that's true. They haven't really come out and said it. So you do get stuff like that. Maybe they're not wearing the you know, field version of the things because it was an accident for them to go back in time. I don't know. You know, as far as haberdashery goes, I think that you go tea Earl Grey hot into the stuff and go, you know, standard duty uniform, you know, whatever my size, it's in your computer, right? And, you know, hey, I'm going to use the away team version, because you never know. Might be cold, might be hot, plus or minus 20 degrees.
I mean, but a regular Starfleet uniform is probably going to be okay on like a balmy Toronto day.
Yeah, it's just the new Kirk is a pussy. That's all.
Yeah, and they wanted to steal. They got to steal them, and I'm going to say they wanted to fit in. So that makes.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any. The only trouble I had with that was like, wow, they're putting perfectly good screen use Star Trek uniforms in the trash. Can I have those,
Yeah, they
please?
threw them away back in time. So how did that change like the future of fabrics or whatever from somebody, some hobo who discovered this wonder fabric, right, in the trash can? I wanted to know that story.
It's not going to happen. They said that in dialogue. Remember the Romulan spy was I've been fucking waiting for this guy since 1992, and fucking time's trying to correct itself because all these motherfuckers are trying to mess time. And so Khan shows up, but it's 100 years later, and fuck you people. And I was like, well, finally, all of my criticisms of new Star Trek go away because there's the original series timeline now. There's the JJ timeline when Spock splits, and now there's this. That's all you guys had to say.
I actually agreed. That was the major thing that we got out of this thing for sure. Is just like you just go like, oh, it's kind of up for grabs now. The time it's like in this universe, it is a strange new world, right? It's like it is Star Trek in that like the time period that we remember, but it's different. It's strange and new.
I hate to interrupt like I always do, but can I tell you that's fantastic? I'm stealing that from you. That's what it is. It makes the title make sense.
I think that's part of
it's a strange new world. It's not you're exploring the strange new worlds. It's like you're watching this. It must be really upsetting for, Dan and Larry and John Price.
Well, and I agree. And that's as much as they need to do. Like it never has to be fully resolved or even addressed. There's all that allusion to the long time war that was fought and a lot of stuff alluded to. Interesting stuff alluded.
This one, that's why I love this episode, despite whatever faults you may have on your list. It was just so good. And then they killed stupid Kirk. But then it kind of makes sense why Lon's got the hots for him in our world.
All right, but wait a minute. Let's get to
okay. Sorry, I'll get away from your list.
Back up a little bit because let's talk about Kirk. First of all, this is not James C. Kirk. That's the thing. In the future, this guy was raised on a starship so that he was just sort of like weak and kind of like just not corn fed. He never like no Earth gravity to make him muscular. He's just like thin and whiny.
I guess that's a good way to put it. But except when they go back to our world next week, he's still going to be skinny and whiny.
That's the other thing. It doesn't make a lick of sense at all. Like James T. Kirk should just not exist, right? Like you really can't say him. And certainly if he exists, the odds that him and his brother both exist seem very, very dicey to me. When you're talking about alternate timelines like
once you start doing that though, you're not going to enjoy anything, because how in God's name does Khan Noonien Singh become this violent dictator of eugenics and shit 100 years after he did the first time and have it still be the same thing? There's no like what? So it's just that's what I liked about that line, because the Romulan spy had, because it's like, well, people are fucking with it. And it's like, what they really mean is, what are you going to do, man? Time is going on. Somebody else has to play Spock, right? And then, so it's slightly different, but it's trying to get everything back. So stuff that was supposed to happen is later now. And
I like that Khan is their Hitler. If you could go back in time to kill Khan, it would that's pretty cool. Okay, I'll give you all that stuff, Larry. I'll give that to you. So this James Kirk exists. I still think that's the trickiest one, just that he even exists when the timeline is that much different, that he's born in outer space and has never seen a sunset on Earth. Tells me that the change happened long enough ago that he would just not be born. It would be a different set of sperm and eggs, even if his mother and mom got together. It would just be
of course. Yeah. But don't think about that, because he was born in Iowa still. It's just, it was on the USS Iowa. I thought that was great.
Yeah, right. If the time change had been much sooner, like if it had been during his life or after he was born that his Kirk's life was disrupted, it would make sense. In this way, it just doesn't make time. I'm playing time cop here. That one is just doesn't make sense, but we'll take it for granted. It's the magic of time travel.
At some point, you have to just go, this is some dumb thing that doesn't make sense, but we just have to buy it for us to move forward, because if you're not moving forward, you know.
Agreed. And they got to make a show, and they got
right.
I
mean, what are they going to do?
It's just a TV show. Okay, I'm with you,
Larry. I would never say it's just a TV show, because Star Trek's my religion.
Okay,
but you know,
is Kirk being good at chess? Is that I'm thinking back, and I think like he beat Mr. Spock, like he would beat Spock sometimes.
Well,
right?
They were even, yeah.
Because he can see 5 moves ahead, right?
No, but I love that. It's like, but even if you think that's bragging, he goes, yeah, but you know, I'm literally playing 3D chess.
It's a baby game. It's a baby
chess is the idiot's chess.
Pretty funny considering 3D chess doesn't exist. That's my favorite thing when they would talk about like high level strategy. They go like, Trump is not an idiot. He's so smart. He's playing 3D chess. It's like, yeah, he's playing an imaginary game that doesn't exist, that doesn't have any rules, right? That's what that's what 3D chess represents, not like better chess.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he's good at chess. Where did he get the money for the first bet? Like nobody's putting a bet. Nobody's gonna put up money without something like.
Well, no, of course, but you make a bet that. You make a bet for some interesting stakes. You might even tell the guy, it's like, I don't have any money and I got to get a hot dog for my wife here.
Yeah.
So like, if I beat you by so much,
yes,
will you buy me 2 hot dogs? And then he gets $5 or whatever, and he only buys 1 hot dog. And then he takes that $2.50 and he makes.
They montaged it so we can take that.
It could be anything.
I will take it. And James Kirk, as we know him, certainly smart and smooth enough to be able to make that happen, right?
I could, and I'm an idiot.
Right. Captain Kirk could do it now, but then now, oh man, John and Dave,
like, those guys are blowing up the comments.
You are my guys, because like, John, seriously. First of all, this, no, they didn't. Second of all, even more importantly, no, you can't. No, the answer is no.
Not a place like that.
The answer is no. You can't stay in Toronto hotel rooms without a credit card.
Come on, there's no flop houses in Toronto.
You can't. Maybe they made enough money to bribe somebody to make it. I'm gonna let it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Okay,
that one doesn't give me a problem.
However, okay, then this is where. Okay, Long can tell by looking at a piece of the wreckage from afar what type of bomb was used to detonate the thing.
Yeah, it had purple bluing and silver shit in it. That doesn't happen to concrete unless it's a photonic bomb. Come on,
of course not. but then, okay, here's the bad editing part that really got me. What happened between when Kirk? This is the first time Kirk has been on freaking Earth, really. Like, let alone driven a car. It's not like our Captain Kirk. We could go like, he drove a tractor. He probably knows what it means to drive a car. This guy, first, for a second, he can't figure it out. Nothing. Next thing you know, he's in the middle of a high-speed chase on snowy Toronto streets. There was bad editing there. I didn't like the continuity editing.
Yeah.
And the streets, the snow would disappear in the middle of it.
I guess I just don't have a problem with any of that, because just because he was born on a spaceship doesn't mean he's never been on a planet. Maybe it wasn't Earth. Okay, but he knows how planets work.
Good point.
And maybe he loves Grand Theft Auto 25, right?
Good point.
So, I mean, none of that really bothers me. You know what? I know you're interested.
There's also the possibility of what John says here. There's also this possibility.
Well, it's almost like, yes, that's what it is. And Star Trek has had bad writing for the last 5 to 7 years.
Agreed.
So, but given that, I think it's pretty. It's last season was a solid B- to me, and this is just a hard B. It's like an 86. It's on its way to a B+.
I give him points for getting a car chase into Star Trek. When it was happening, I was going like, I'm watching a car chase in Star Trek. And I don't know that I've done that before.
Okay, that's what I was going to say too. Like, I know your love of AI and, cool tech. And I watched the Will Wheaton's Ready Room thing. Did you catch that?
No, I don't.
Because I like that episode so much. I'm like, I'll just fast forward that idiot talking and to get to what the actors are saying, because I really like the actor interviews. they get Will Wheaton some good questions, but he, I get kind of excited on these things, so I kind of seem like a a lunatic when. But if you meet me in public, I'm like, oh hey man, nice to see you. Oh yeah, I like Star Trek. But Will Wheaton is like always talking like this. It's the best fucking thing, and it's like, Will, just fucking calm down, man. And but this one was great because they explained the car chase was in front of the the VR wall. It wasn't. They didn't have a camera in a car going through the
really?
streets. Yeah,
Huh.
and so they have really good control over everything. And like, would you have ever thought of that?
I
It
didn't know
looked
they did. I felt like it was just a
insane.
cheesy car chase.
There's this great shot of like that car. It's perfect, but it has no wheels, and the bottom half is rusted out. It's just some piece of shit that they found in a junkyard and
Huh.
made the top look new.
Whoa, no
And
kidding.
yeah, it's really you should just
All right.
call it up and scroll through it because that bit's really neat.
Well, I did love the touch of Captain Kirk thinking it was New York and then Lon going like, what are you, an idiot? It's Toronto. Like that was fun. And it's cool that they decided to just, let's not try to fake New York. Let's just embrace Toronto of the future. I thought that was pretty cool.
Agreed.
I didn't like the car chase and the continuity, but it's hard to do car chase. It's hard to do that stuff. The streets sometimes were snowy, sometimes not during the same chase and stuff.
I did see that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what that was? Like one was actually outside where it's Toronto, and
right, yeah.
The other was the bits in the VR.
And it feels like TV.
Look, Dave's telling us where everything is. Oh, that was Dundas Square.
It feels very much like TV writing whenever I watch it, to the point that there even feels like there's, if not commercial breaks, certainly act breaks where it's like they reiterate what happened like 1 second ago. It's like, yeah, well, something was going on. Something was supposed to go on. Okay, but now here, okay, the car chase, I'll give you. But then the police pull you over. And I know that police are supposed to be nicer in Canada. And maybe this is a joke.
Yeah, that's all I thought.
Toronto
that's a pretty good Canadian joke.
But you pull a guy over driving recklessly in a stolen car with no license, and you get talked out of it by a frantic Romulan. I don't know.
No, but see, I didn't get there. You get talked out of it by somebody with a camera in your face in 2023.
Yeah.
Where and maybe Canadian police are like, and he gets a call. I mean, I think they handled that as best as they could. Like, if you're saying that is something, tell me how they got into the fucking institute.
Well, to me, that's just bad, right? Like, I would have written it differently. It would have been like maybe they hooked up with the Romulan chick and she helps them escape somehow. Not the way she did.
You're just adding shit on there. No, tell me how you do that in 3 minutes.
I would just do it. You just sequence those things. I don't know. I just thought it was. I'm not buying any police, let alone a group of police, pulling you over for reckless driving. They're like, "Oh, she's got a camera. Oh, we see ya," and then they just leave. And that that's bad writing.
You're right. I don't think that's bad writing. It's TV writing.
Speaking of bad writing,
there's stuff that happens on TV that has to happen so you can get to the next bit, right? It's like, and at least they nodded to it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, they had some cards on a cork board, and they had to get from like that card to that story beat. I get it. Yeah. But that's the writing part. And that's the part I'm docking them on that story. I'm sorry.
All right.
And also on the line that I wrote down when she said half the people on the forums are using dial-up. I was like, that line rang so untrue. Like, this is an old, like a writer who's writing something for like 1995, maybe, definitely not 21st century. Didn't like that.
It's an alternate universe. Yeah.
Okay, but now what I love, this is the best. Okay, Kirk is set up. He's a strategist. He sees five moves.
5 steps ahead.
He sees 5 steps ahead, Larry. But he sure didn't see anything when that Romulan pulled out a gun and just shot him dead.
I think that is awesome, and it's about time that happened.
He made one bluff move. It was a terrible bluff move. Ergo, his strategy is garbage because he's dead now.
So, but that's not Captain Kirk. That's some dumbass that was born on an aircraft carrier in space. Right? That's not our bluff in Captain Kirk. I just loved it because William Shatner spent all his time, like, I would just love for modern audiences to watch old Star Trek and just rip it apart like this, because I mean, what are you saying, man? That's why we're watching Star
our
Trek.
Captain
It's
Kirk,
so cheesy and awesome.
Our Captain Kirk would have smacked that shit out of her hand, smacked her to the ground, maybe embraced her and almost kissed her, but then, like, figured out a way out of that scenario. He wouldn't have been shot dead.
I just no, but that's what I love, because he's like, I don't believe in the and before he stops talking, she shoots him in the chest. Like, yes, thank you. Like, that's good to see it one time. I'm glad you didn't do that to the real Captain Kirk.
I will say this: I was expecting him to die, but I didn't expect that at that moment. So they gave me something unexpected.
So can you just bear with me for a second, because I'm going to start talking about Doctor Who, but it'll be really fast.
Oh no!
So there's this thing.
I might start falling asleep. Sorry if I do.
It's going to be fast. This thing with Doctor Who, when they change to the new guy, everybody fucking hates him, because the last guy is beloved, and then he starts to grow on you, and that's cool. And then they do a couple fantastic episodes, and then that guy's like, okay, I'm out, and you're like, everybody starts crying, please, please don't do that. And I think that's the track that they're thinking for this new Kirk guy, that they introduce him and he's a future asshole, and then everybody spends the time between seasons going, fuck that guy, it looks like Jim Carrey, what a shithead. And then he shows up again, but it's an alternate universe guy in the alternate universe we already have.
Yes,
sub-alternate.
Yes.
And he's dead by the end of the episode, and you're like, kind of, well, that was a little powerful, wasn't it? And so by the halfway through this season, we're all going to be like, hey, even I hated that Paul Wesley guy. He looks wrong. He sounds like an idiot. But even I was like,
never felt like Kirk for 1 second.
See, I disagree. Even I was like, okay, this is the version of Kirk that didn't have Kirk's advantages, right? But he's still trying to Jimmy Kirk it, and he just bluffs wrong, right? Maybe there's hope for our guy.
That I'll give you. This Kirk has more leeway because it's not supposed to be Captain Kirk of Earth, Starship Enterprise, but that other one is supposed to be. And so it all depends how they play him when they come back to the new universe. And
can I just say real quick?
Yeah.
Wrong. That's my wife's favorite Doctor Who, and it's my kid's favorite Doctor Who. It was his first one, so I know all the old people are like, "Oh, they made Doctor Who a girl. Nobody likes Jodie." No, wrong. Okay.
I'm sorry. I almost lapsed into unconsciousness.
I know. That's why I stopped talking.
I was like, "Oh,
just Star Trek."
Okay, so the master strategist gets shot.
Right. Love it.
I did like getting to see young Khan. I
thought that was fantastic.
I like them setting that up, and she's like, "No, I'm not going to kill a kid. I'm not going to kill this kid."
Well, I think Sag and I were talking about that when you see Khan's name on the door and it's scrawled like a little kid, and you're like, "What the fuck?" Well, they can't even. Maybe it's they put a piece of tape up there because he's getting his sign done or whatever, and then you realize it's because he's a child. That made me like it. I was like, okay,
good touch.
They didn't hire some I don't know, some guy in his 30s or something, right, to be like, I'm the new Ricardo Montalban. It's like, it's kid. It's like, this is fantastic, because if they do something with that the rest of the season, we're all going to go along with it, because we were there when we saw him. We weren't just told, this is a genetic Superman from 1996.
Yeah.
So I think Akiva has at least figured out his structure, which I never thought anybody doing Picard or Discovery knew what the fuck they were doing for a minute. And if they did have somebody like Alan McElroy is a writer on Discovery, and that guy's like one of the best writers ever, and his episodes are the only ones that are entertaining at all, but they're just so watered down. Somebody is stepping on it, and that's why I hate Alex Kurtzman, because it's that it's him just going, oh, this excellent thing needs my sperm all over it. and it's just like, Alex, man, you didn't make it better, you just made it sticky. So
I liked I don't know. Time traveling wise, though, like I said, their rules of time travel seem a little weird because
In what way? Because
their contention. So it's like causality will wipe out other dimensions, not fork them.
I just think that, once you start talking about the rules of time travel, I love that scene in Endgame, right? No, this isn't Back to the Future. This isn't Stargate, because each one of them are like different. So this is just, they're going to tell us what their rules are. And if it even matters, I got a feeling that they just did, this is how it could have gone stories before you even start the story you want to tell, which I think is a really cool structure.
But I feel like if you're gonna take, let's just get super nerdish for a second, Larry.
Wait,
okay? If we're gonna talk about like the structure of their universe and the continuity and the timelines and everything else, I think what we would say, based on the rules we're seeing here, is that there is one continuity, but it is malleable. You can go back, you can change things, and it will change your timeline. It doesn't fork off and create another timeline. It changes your timeline. So that's okay.
I don't know if the Romulan is a reliable narrator, but assuming she is, it does sound like that's what happens. But like, if you're living your life, you'd never know, right? It's just that's your world now.
But so what I'm saying is, though, then that the fact that Pike, did time travel and came forward and came back, that's already changed. That's now changed the original series universe, so that things are different now, and Star Trek essentially is kind of wiped out, and now there's this
new. There's not just one universe with multiple timelines. This is a timeline, right? So the Kirk thing, they said in Star Trek, let's put it this way, because they said this in the JJ movies. Leonard Nimoy said it, so it has to be true.
Okay.
He's the real Spock. All these other guys are Spock, and that's cool. But real Spock told me personally, because I was watching it, I saw it, I paid my money and saw it, that this is just another thing that happens, and that's where we're at. And so there's two distinct things. It didn't change all of those things. It's just this is how it's going now. And so that now there's just a third Star Trek timeline where, whatever nonsense they're doing now, that Khan Noonien Singh is like, somebody said that, I forget where it was, but they were like, what? It's like having, you said Hitler. That's what reminded me of it. It's like, why would you, like, in 1944, there were like 30 Hitlers in the New York telephone book, and like 1947, there's nobody. Right, and that's what would happen instantly with Khan Noonien Singh. That he's our Hitler, space Hitler. My name's Johnson now. Nobody would say, you wouldn't go 100 years and have a granddaughter.
You might at least drop the middle name. You know what I'm?
Right, exactly. But now all the stupid stuff like that's hyphenated. Well, that's how it is in their universe.
Okay, but let me break this down like the autistic nerd that I am. So what you're telling me, Mr. Larry, is that there are at least 3 completely separate Star Trek continuities.
Correct. That is now what I'm saying.
One being original series through Next Generation and what we know and love. Okay. The other being the JJ verse. Mm-hmm. And the third being this, what we are now in, which, for lack of a better term, is like the Discovery spawned universe.
Okay.
Is that right? What you're
I
saying?
Wouldn't call it that, but yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I just call it a new Trek or Kurtzman Trek when I want to shit on Kurtzman.
New Trek works.
Yeah.
New Trek works as
and that guy just got that from New BSG, because that's the same thing. The new Battlestar Galactica. That's what everybody called it. NU BSG. So okay. It's a new reimagining of our old show that we like. So I think the JJ stuff is the black sheep now. As much as I hate Discovery, I think there's the original series, and now there's the new original series.
And then how does Picard fit in?
That I don't. That fits in like everybody else thinks about Crystal Skull. Like that just doesn't exist for me.
Oh, can we make a hard pivot just for a second? I haven't seen it, but can we pivot to Indy for a minute today?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Okay, because here's my theory. I haven't seen it. I want to see it. I'll check it out for sure. But I feel like the reason I haven't seen it and I'm not that excited about it, and the reason why maybe its box office is not what is expected, is because Crystal Skull. I was there for opening day of Crystal Skull, and I'm like, fool me twice. Shame on
I mean, I'm sure that works for you, but Chris Sagasag came up with this, and I've been talking to Rick about it, and they have made very compelling. They're not even arguments. They're like pointed at it and said, "Hey, see that orange? That's an orange." That the reason these movies aren't doing very well is because our entire planet has been retrained on how to watch stuff.
There's something to it.
No, it's not something to it. Like I used to go to 2 or 3 movies a week. I'd get in a matinee and I'd drop my kid off at school and I'd see a flick in a theater. And so that's 50 movies a year, easy, right? Maybe more, but it sounds like a lie. And that's just me dropping my kid off to school. So now I've gone to 4 movies in a theater in the last year. And that's me. It's not because I don't want to, it's not because I don't have time. It's because my TV is about as good in size as where I sit in a theater. So and I can get up and stop and like, geez, I'm an old man, I gotta take a pee. Like there's no reason to go and spend $20, which is like, 2 months of Paramount Plus to go see Indiana Jones. Like what I did, but
what I find interesting is that the ones that are overperforming have been animated. And
I haven't even really followed box office because it's not a thing anymore.
Well, but that's some things can get that $1 billion box and still are landing those mega hits, like maybe Mission Impossible next week or whatever. Like you can still do it. They could have done it maybe with a different movie or a different strategy.
That movie is fantastic. You'll love it, and you'll look back on what you're saying right now, going, "Oh, geez, I should have said is that the Star Trek curse is that they're only the even numbered movies are the good ones. The Indiana Jones curse."
I heard that though.
But that's true, man. 1, 3, and 5 are the only movies. I actually love Temple of Doom, but I get that nobody else does.
I think Temple of Doom is a great movie.
I love that movie.
I don't get criticism of that movie really at all.
I don't either.
The best things about it seem to be the things that people hate the most, like just the racism, the sheer just like it was the last chance for Spielberg to be like, yeah, we're gonna do some tropes, dude. Let's get it.
Yeah, it's 1936 cliffhangers, man.
Yeah,
the one thing I think is dumb in that is the beginning. All that shit happens at Club Obi-Wan. Like we didn't need that, but where she's singing anything goes. Yeah, there's a giant establishing shot where this neon sign says Club Obi-Wan. I'm like, but whatever.
Well, here's the thing. I love those, but Crystal Skull, oof, it just took a lot of my affection out because like I felt like they felt like it was the last one for sure. So they're like, let's do this, whatever. We're gonna make a lot of money, and it worked really well. But like people are like, no, I know you can make bad Indiana Jones movies now. I know it's possible.
I don't think that movie's bad. I think that Shia LaBeouf ruins everything he touches.
He's bad. He's
like that movie with somebody else in that role is fine. It really is.
I don't know. To me, when I look at him, it's so jarringly different than the other indie movies in the sense that when I think indie movies, I think of practical special effects and big set pieces. It felt so green screened in some times where I was like, it seems like that's the last of the big budget things that they can really do that nobody could do anymore. Is like get a real tank and put real things out and like do make real practical stunts like Tom Cruise is doing and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. Otherwise, why not just make it a complete cartoon and make it an animation, which is where I think the future.
Yeah, that's going to happen, right?
That's what it's all going to be. And we will see more Indiana Jones movies, and it'll feature a perfectly de-aged Harrison Ford fighting. Who does he fight? He fights the Symbionese Liberation Army in the 70s or whatever. Whatever he does. they'll be able to make it work, and that's the only way they're going to breathe life back into Indy, because how you can't do. There's no spin-off Indy characters. They're not doing the continuing adventures of Short Round or anything.
I don't think there's going to be continuing adventures because, just what are you going to? I think about 10 years after Harrison Ford finally kicks it, there might be a cartoon. I don't think there's going to be. I don't think they're going to recast that character. I think you could. And you might make some money, but I'm not going. I don't care.
I think he's the perfect video game character, and they can definitely do multiple adventures and make really probably something pretty cool with Indiana Jones. I'll bet.
Agreed. I love the pinball game.
Well, but so wait a minute. You're not on record. You've been a little cagey here. You liked Crystal Skull, huh?
I thought it was fine. I loved it.
It's okay.
I don't, except for Shia LaBeouf, or whatever, how you pronounce that idiot name. And then, but now this movie comes out. Can I just spoil one little thing?
Do it.
He's not mentioned by name. They don't say, there's no pictures of him hanging up on the wall like Sean Connery's died. It's, but they do say, yeah, my son was killed in the war.
They mentioned Mutt. I heard that he gets mentioned.
They don't say his name, just says my son was killed.
They didn't even say his name.
Yeah. And so the war has to be Vietnam, and so I'm fine because his own guys killed him, like Niedermeyer in Animal House. I think so. They just have that one line: "My son got killed in the war," and it's very emotional and stuff.
Did you see that douchebag wearing the Marlon Brando hat? We got it.
We got to explain this because everyone hates him, and let's make sure he's dead. And people who like him, there's 5 people who like him probably. So he was killed saving the freedom in the war, and like everybody else will be like murdered by his own troops.
Yeah, nobody liked poor Mutt. I feel for Shia. Oh well,
it's not the character though. It's the actor. It's like if you cast Indiana Jones as Harrison Ford and you put him in a couple of good movies, okay, his dad is James Bond. Yes. His son is that fucking guy?
Yeah.
No. N-O.
Yeah.
It's still a movie. Maybe in real life. So thanks for getting Epstein out and putting in John Eric Hexum. The world's most famous suicide.
Well, yeah, poor dummy. But what a good-looking dummy. Jeez, look at this guy.
Can you imagine how many people were actually saved by his sacrifice? Because the reason that happened is he didn't know that the force is still coming out even with no bullet. Right?
Yeah, sure.
And so what killed him is a section of his skull went into his brain.
Yeah.
So I, as a young boy, went, oh. So John Eric Hexum died for our sins.
I've learned, Larry, that some people's role in this world is to be a cautionary example. And that sometimes those are the most important people in our lives.
Sometimes it's us.
I'll tell you the truth. It can be.
Dude, and you had that thought for the first time when you became a dad, didn't you? Because bringing it back to Star Trek, I was like, oh, I thought I was the fucking star of the show. But the second you have a kid, it's like, oh, I'm Captain Christopher, and I got to keep my shit together so my kid can be the first guy in Saturn. I thought I was all that, but I don't have any role in history whatsoever except I'm this genius guy's dad. And I went from like, to I'm fine. That's good.
I was originally going to pick this picture of the Voyage, this picture of the Voyagers. But then when I saw this one, I was like, this reminded me so much of, this is really what they wanted. That's Kirk and that's little Connie right there. Right.
I just, it was a different time, man, where 35-year-old good-looking single guy can just grab a kid and go rampaging through time.
just go making time.
And then it goes to get canceled, and every history teacher on the planet went, please do another season of that show because we use that in class. And they went, okay.
And as I remember, it lived a decent life in syndication.
Yeah.
And that's a concept that's got TV show written all over. Where's the new Voyagers show, guys? Maybe we watched it.
I don't think you can do that show now. You can do it with a woman and a girl and make it a little Electro Woman Dyna Girl, but two dudes, that's not 2023, man.
Oh, yeah, maybe not. Maybe it's a different world, Larry.
Anyway, rebooting it. You know, John Suntrace goes, of course there's going to be a rebooted Indy. Like, yeah, of course. I said, in about 10 years after Harrison Ford dies. I don't want it. I won't watch it. I'll bring my grandkids to it if I'm still around, but I'm not going to care.
I mean, that's where they redo Raiders of the Lost Ark. They just remake, just
I don't
re-release
think,
it. New actor, new.
I don't think nobody cares now, right? And there's no way to do like that, stuff 50 years ago is what you're making, your movie about, but 50 years ago was like what, 1970, right? So like it's I don't know. It's not there wasn't the style of movie as in 1970s was the end of the studio thing, and is the rise of like your independent Coppola, Brian De Palma, Lucas, Spielberg guys, right? So that's just doesn't fit an Indiana Jones character. I mean, here's a good idea. Do a movie about Spielberg and Lucas coming up with Indiana Jones, and then doing your version of like the kids find a version of the script or something and do their own thing as if it's a dream, like if they had all that money, and then maybe you could do something with that, like Indiana Jones and the copyright retention or whatever. But my kid just laughed at that.
I read they were Lucas's original pitch for Temple of Doom, I think, was going to be like a haunted house. It was like Indiana Jones and the haunted castle or something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's the thing. The problem with Indiana Jones is what happened in our world is that they did these big event movies. And if they had done an Indiana Jones movie every 3 years for 15 years,
yes,
it would be like James Bond.
Yes, I agree.
We'd be on our third or fourth Indy, right?
Agreed.
So, but they didn't choose to do that, and there's no way for that to happen now. It's just not going to work.
And I feel like they got so hung up on Nazis, and we got to bring back Nazis every time. Like,
well, yes, that's all anybody wants. Just tell me some adventures that he happened, after he got home. Just keep it between 1936 and 1950, and there's a million. That one bit in Crystal Skull where they're like, Colonel Jones fought with Captain America and the Howling Commandos in World War II. I'm like, where are the fucking 3 movies of that? Anyway, you know my feeling on that.
Yeah, well, we're never going to see those movies, Larry, but we might see their non-unionized AI generated equivalent coming to a brain implant or facial visor near you.
My friend Carl Martin, who works on all that stuff, he started working on Sequest DSV, that Spielberg thing, believe it or not. And he's Marvel big shot now, and he said he was in some meeting at Universal in 1991, and they were presenting rudimentary CG stuff to the Universal guys, and they paid polite attention to. And then, any questions? The first question is, when can we do this with actors? And that was in 1991, right? So the first thought of the money guys is like, let's get rid of the actors.
Well,
because that's too much money.
What I'm seeing with the trend towards animated movies, and actually really it's a pleasure to see something like Spider-Verse doing so well, because it's not just a standard 3D movie. Like, they really are stretching what an animated film can do in that. And then also Super Mario Brothers, which was so huge and had a budget of, relatively small budget compared to some of these other things. I just feel like animation is going to become maybe the way to go, because the most of these Marvel movies they might as well be animation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have an opinion on that, but I think that the way to go thing is going to really collapse pretty soon, like sooner than we think, because there's so much content. Like this writer's strike. Like I loved I always taped John Oliver, and I would check in on the late night news shows like Daily Show and stuff like that. And those things just go away because that's writer based. And I immediately went, oh well, you know what? One of my friends was like, what are you watching? I'm like, I don't know, but you should watch Band of Brothers because I'm sick of you saying you've never seen it. And he has time now because all the stuff that we usually watch and talk about, you know. So we're watching. So my kid and I are starting The Prisoner. Like and that's just stuff we haven't caught up with yet. Think about all the stuff. People are like, oh man, you watching this thing on Tubi? You watching the Godzilla channel?
Wait till you Dynamo Dream on YouTube, Larry.
No, because there's still 24 hours in the day, and I got to sleep at least 6 of them. You know.
Anyway. I hear it's an embarrassment of content riches these days.
I just think the studios are betting on the wrong thing. It's like there's so much shit. No, you could make stuff. You could stop making stuff for 5 years, and people wouldn't notice.
I think you might be right about that. And they are in belt cutting mode right now, so they'll just maybe we'll just like who could wait long? Who's going to blink first, the Writers Guild or the studios?
I don't know. It's if we knew, right? Let's go to Vegas.
I think that's what this next few years is going to be about: union power and in many facets of our society. And this is just one area.
I don't know, man. I think there's going to have to be a civil war first because the guys with the money never give up money and do the fair thing. Have you watched this American Gladiators thing?
Mm-mm.
There's a little five episode thing on Netflix, Muscles and Mayhem, the unauthorized story of what actually happened to anyway, the guys all signed up with no contracts, and then they got scale for 4 years.
Yeah.
Until they tried to say, hey, we just came off this big thing, everybody loves us, and we're all gonna quit, except there was 12 gladiators and only 4 stuck with it. And so they just fired those 4 guys. Like, bad news for them. It was the 4 most popular ones, but they didn't. They went, oh, okay, well, we'll just keep going with other people.
Yeah,
and then it sucked, and it killed the whole brand until they got to doing dinner theater. No shit, in Orlando, above a supermarket and a liquor store and a TCBY.
Turbo and Laser.
I don't know. There's like 3 of them. Like, one of them came in, Nitro came in for like one. It's like, no, I'm not doing this. It's too sad. Like, people are eating pork chocks. It was dinner theater. Getting drunk and throwing shit at them while they're trying to do like, anyway. Oh, but that's what the studios think. Fuck you. It doesn't matter. We'll get somebody else to do it. And so that's why, I don't know. I don't think.
And I think that was always possible. And that was true when they had the lock on distribution, when the only way to get in a movie theater was through one of these big companies. But who cares about a movie theater? It does not matter anymore. And you don't have to give up all your creative control and rights and everything to be a part of one of these big companies anymore. Now more than ever, you can do it yourself.
Agreed.
And that's what I think. That's what hopefully happens here. There's going to be suffering, but
yeah, I mean, that's what I think. There's going to be suffering, and we don't know the nature of the suffering, but it's always been like that. And at least Star Trek is decent now. my comfort food is,
Well, I need one more. To tell you the truth, this season, it's been a lot of no Pike fillerish episodes to me.
Filler? I
mean,
my buddy Randall is talking about this. It's like, dude, you're reviewing Moby Dick after only reading 3 chapters.
Well, the thing is, they even shuffled him out of order because of the whole Anson Mount. He wasn't available, so they had to shoot certain ones in a different order.
I didn't even know that.
And rearrange them around. Yeah. So he wasn't available, so they and that changed kind of the order of the season, which almost, I feel like this con stuff maybe, I don't know.
I do think that it's weird that the star of the show hasn't really been in it yet, but I also think that's fucking cool.
We did get a lot of him last season too. So.
I just think that like that shows a confidence in your format and your ensemble, and it's the whole Star Trek thing. It's a ship of people. Okay, the captain goes down, but it's not like the butcher shop has to close because the butcher broke his leg, right? You just go, okay, move everybody over. It's kind of cool.
Speaking of which, I got a new. My favorite character officially is Mbenga.
Yeah.
They got an ass kicking doc with karate drugs, and like apparently he's a real like he really does Brazilian jiu-jitsu or whatever martial arts. So I liked it. That's a different spin on a doctor, and he's seen some shit, man. He's seen some things, Larry.
I know. That's awesome.
He's been through some stuff, you know.
I think it's cool. That's your favorite character. I think the reason I got this red shirt is because I officially have admitted now that Ortegas is my favorite character.
Okay, that makes
because
sense.
I was thinking about it, and I'm like, my big problem with this Kurtzman Neutrik bullshit is everybody's got a tragic backstory, and they're all sad, and that's why you got divorced, and that's why you went to space. And I'm like, no, the cool thing about Star Trek is risk is our business. We're fucking out here because it's fucking awesome. And can you imagine? My best friend's got pointed ears, and this shit will make you drunk forever. And you know, just the new one is nobody is happy to be there, except for Ortegas.
But
he's just like, oh yeah, let's go.
That's because he's seen some stuff, dude.
Yeah, no, he's cool. I mean, the characters are great. I love.
He's a meatball surgeon. He's bringing MASH to. I feel like he's like.
Oh, dude, give me that show, Star Trek MASH.
Yeah, it's a little bit of MASH and Star Trek happening right there. It's a mashup, if you will.
If you will, and
things
I will.
Things that I always wanted to see together. But anyway, I do like it. I need though. Here's what I need. I need a full real episode, self-contained, another like single episode done in one, like a good space adventure of some kind.
I think that's where we'll get next week with Pike.
Yeah.
Have you seen the clips from it?
I didn't even see the teaser, to tell you the truth.
It looks like he's wearing in the cage, the original Menagerie one, where Pike comes in and he's all bummed out because he had that adventure with the big guy in the castle and the planet and all that shit. It looks like he's wearing similar clothes, so I think they're going to do a little Rigel 7.
Do you think we'll get Metrons in Strange New Worlds? I think we will eventually.
I don't know, because they seem that they want to, really make the Gorn into aliens. But the second the Metrons show up, it's over, right? No,
maybe
we're not going to kill.
And do you think now that we know that Khan is like alive in our continuity, and he's an augment, so like he could even age faster. So I could see them bringing in like an older but still young and sexy Ricardo Montalban-ish character, and I might even welcome that if they did it right.
If they do that and the guy's just aware that all these people are telling him that in this other dimension he's an asshole and he turns into a giant good guy, I would never stop applauding. But they don't have the balls for
Maybe he was a hero the whole time and his legacy is misunderstood, Larry.
They need a villain. That's why we keep seeing all these fucking conversions, because nobody can come up with another villain for some reason. And so they would never do that. But if they had balls and turn Khan into a misunderstood good guy, I would never stop.
I think that would be pretty cool if he like
agreed. I think that would be great.
He kind of was a misunderstood good guy, right? Like, I mean, he had his honor, he had his sense of honor. He wasn't he was a maniac. He's an egomaniac, megalomaniacal, whatever. But he wasn't like, he wanted to do what was best for his people.
Can I ask you answer that with a question?
Sure.
Do you think Tony Soprano was a misunderstood good guy?
Well, he wanted no, because he was a narcissist and he didn't even want to do what's best for his family, really.
Khan, stay or go, but do it because it is what you wish to do. Fuck you. He's a dick.
What about those pamphlets you were telling me about? Hitler was really a misunderstood guy, Larry.
I said that. My wife's name is Rosenheim, right? And I got a Jew nose, so come on, man.
Hey, man, I got.
Anyway,
I got the hook thing going on myself. Yeah. And speaking of hooks, Larry, it's that time. We're past the hour.
Thanks for talking longer. I know.
We went a full hour plus. I have very little paying work at this second to do. I see it looming on my horizon, about to crush me. But Larry, this Thursday, I got Kurt Burdick coming back in. We're gonna talk. He sent me Death of Power #2.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Which is
You
even
said,
more.
yeah, that's how you do Death of Superman.
It's even more explicit than issue #1.
You know what? I got a feeling I'm going to be a little more on the page, like having gone through that frightening experience of the first one, but it's still in my head, man. So that's a good, even though I was a little queasy about the art and some of the choices, I think I'm probably gonna like the second one if it's more of that.
I'm not like, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful art object. He even put you'll see. There's a parental warning wrapper label thing for
Oh
it.
yes,
Wonderful. Awesome. And we'll also be looking at more Death of Superman stuff. The cartoonist kayfabe ringside seats Death of Superman fanzine jam. That they sent me that like is just chock full of just Superman being killed in all kinds of exciting, fun new ways. We'll look at that and talk about that. If you're around Thursday, Larry, I'll shoot you an invite.
Yeah, let me look, because I said Walker and Mimi are leaving this week, and so that's Thursday's tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
it is tomorrow.
So I have to
all day.
I'm their ride, so I don't know if I can commit.
I'll send you the invite. You do with it what you will.
Right.
It's gonna be fun. Issue #2 is great. We'll talk about Superman, and then I don't know what. We'll definitely be back next week for more Star Trek. I am excited to talk about it. I'm taking detailed notes.
I'm excited now because you were like, I need one more episode that's self-contained before I can really like pronounce what I think of this. And I think that's really cool, because if I was Paramount, like that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want a bunch of people going, I'll do one more. And then, next week you're like, I get what they're doing, I'll do one more. And then you got maybe somebody who's going, I'm gonna watch this now. And then you got a fan. Which is what they were trying with Discovery and couldn't make happen.
They need to get me with a good sci-fi episode that doesn't insult my intelligence or blatantly steal from a really well-known sci-fi franchise. They've only get one. Like, they can't do that again. They've done it enough.
Agreed. Just write some sci-fi, man. They got some science fiction writers in there, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, we're gonna give them a chance. We're on board, and
absolutely.
We'll bring them back when we'll be back next week. It'll be back on Tuesday, our normal day, and it'll be 3 p.m. Pacific Earth time. Larry, where do you think we should do that? Where would be the best? What would be the most effective place to get our message out?
On the internet.
This is Tobor. Tobor, the telepsonic robot. Batteries not included. He's under your control. With a click from the telepsonic commander, to circle. To proceed forward, to circle. Or to pick up the support module and return, all on your command. Tobor is robot spelled backwards. Tobor, the telepsonic robot from Shopper.